All right, JoeyRitter.com, on Twitter at Joey Ritter. Very excited about my guest today. I got comedian Pat House, Philadelphia's hardest working comedian, that is. And I'm excited. You're my first comedian on the show. And
Oh, awesome. I am honored.
so let's, jump right into it. Friday, October 12th is comedy night at Maggie ONeills, Drexel Hill. Awesome venue. On the bill, you got Pat Barker, Aaron Herzog, Aaron Mulville. It's only $10 for 4 comedians, and all the proceeds go to breast cancer. Great cause. But Maggie ONeills is not your traditional, Club Helium type of venue. How does comedy usually go off at these types of places?
Usually pretty well. I've been doing shows at Maggie's for like 5 years now. I do like 2 or 3 a year, and they're always for a charity event, and they're good. I mean, I have a lot of friends and family come. I know a lot of people in the area. I'm from 5 minutes away, so that's kind of a in my favor. But they're fun, man. It's a small room, it's intimate, and it's always a good time. I mean, we just have fun. It's loose, it's laid back, it's relaxed. I tell my friends to just do whatever they want, and it's fun. It's a lot of fun.
Do you do it upstairs or downstairs?
Downstairs in the tiny banquet room.
Gotcha. Because I actually play acoustic there as well, and the manager's there, super nice, the staff is super nice, and you can't say that about a lot of places.
No, everybody there is above and beyond in every way. They've been great to me and all my family, and we've had a ton of events there, and they're fantastic.
Right on. All right, well, so Friday, October 12th is that show. Definitely check that out. $10, 4 comedians, you can't beat it. So tell me a little bit about the Philadelphia comedy scene as a whole. I've been to Helium a bunch of times. I've seen the local acts. There's so many good comedians in Philly. But kind of compare it to other cities like New York or Los Angeles, the bigger markets, I guess. How does Philadelphia compare to that?
I spent a little bit of time in New York, very, very little time in LA, but I think Philly has a great scene. There's so many funny people all across the board. There's great stand-up. There's just a ton of funny people who get up all the time. There's a lot of great mics. Helium's great too. A lot of, the comics. It's such a great scene. It really is. I'm happy to be a part of it. There's always something going on. There's plenty of open mics. Comedians run their own things. They book shows like Maggie's, like a bunch of bar gigs. Everybody, it seems like most comedians have something beneficial to help other comedians. And it's so supportive, which makes things so much easier.
Right.
It's a great collection of people. It's tight, it's intimate. There's not too much bullshit. It's good. It's always a great, very welcoming, supportive scene.
And you mentioned the open mics, and I've been to a Helium open mic. Do they still do the open mics at the Raven Lounge?
They do. That is Thursdays at like 9 or 9:30. But yeah, that's every Thursday.
I've been there twice, and I actually, and I really don't want to talk about this, but I actually wrote some stuff and signed up one night, and I swear to God, it was one night where every single local Philly comedian was there and got up, and there must have been, I'm not kidding you, like 35 comedians that night. It was insane.
What? Yeah.
It was a packed house when I got there, but by the end of the night, things were kind of winding down, and it's like, comedy's a great thing, but 35 comedians, it's a lot of.
I hear you, man. I've done so many open mics where there's like 40 or 50 people, and everybody just does 2.5 minutes, and it's just like bang, 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 just get on and get off. Which is a pain, because you want to work on a couple things, but if you're doing 2 minutes, you have like one thing to do. So it sucks, but it's fair, and it keeps everything moving quickly.
Right. Actually, now I'm remembering, the first time I actually saw you was a show in Quakertown. You opened for Rich Voss.
Oh my God, that was 5 years ago?
Yeah, it was in the mid-2000s, like kind of when Kid Chris was in his prime and featuring all the Philly comedians. And it sounds kind of weird that it was at a firehouse, but that was a great show. I mean,
that was great. That was Chris McDevitt, me, Bonnie, and Rich.
Yeah. And I just, I remember, it's actually weird because there was the firehouse, a parking lot, and my friend's house where I filmed a music video one time. And, I just remember that night, Rich kind of came out, and just his whole act was just picking apart the crowd. He didn't even have, like, a set that I'm sure he had some set jokes, but, he just picked apart everybody in the crowd, and it was such a great show.
Yeah, Boss is really good at that type of thing. He's very good with crowd work, and that's just his thing.
Right. So that was my first exposure to you, and then I've seen you do emceeing. All the shows are kind of running together, but I've seen Bill Burr, David Tell, Tom Wilson. I went and saw, and you've emceed some of that, and you just get better every time I see you. And
thanks, man. Thank you very much. That's the plan. The plan. So I'm glad somebody's noticing.
You've played most of the big venues around, Philly and New York, you mentioned. Have you ever done any kind of touring, or did you ever think about doing any touring?
Yeah, I mean, I've been on the road a good amount. It's not like touring like a band does, like a different city every night or like, every couple of days. But there's a Helium in Portland, Oregon. I do that twice a year. That's fun. I'm going there in 3 weeks. I was just in Boston last week. Done a handful of sets in California, Hollywood, club in Baltimore I do often. So I'm on the road. I try to leave town like one weekend a month if possible. I'd love it if it were more, but I mean, for now, one weekend or so a month, I'm, out on the road somewhere.
Right. Well, that's definitely getting out there.
Yeah.
So tell me about the moment where, you were a guy that just liked comedy and then you just wanted to be a guy that did comedy.
There was a lot of things along the way. It's interesting to talk about because my dad watched stand-up when I was a kid. I remember him watching the HBO comic reliefs with Whoopi and
right.
Billy Crystal and Robin Williams. And my dad would laugh, and I would laugh too, because I wanted to impress him, But I had no idea what I was hearing or what it meant. I didn't get anything. I'm like 4. But he would watch Letterman and Leno, and I vividly remember thinking how awesome that, they were making people laugh for a living. So that was always embedded in the back of my mind. And then, when I was in high school, the Comedy Central Presents series started, and I knew Brian Regan and Louis Black and David Tell and all those guys. I got to watch them and memorize their bits and everything. And then I think the real kicker was I saw a few comedy shows in college when I was at Temple. Mm-hmm. And Louis Black, David Tell came with Mitch Hedberg and Mike Birbiglia hosted at the Tower Theater, and it blew my mind. I was like, I have to try this, and shortly after I did. And that was the ultimate, okay, you have to try this.
Right.
And that was that. So a bunch of little things along the way, but that show was no questions asked.
So that leads me to my next question. Tell me about the first time. I know you get asked, every comedian gets asked this a lot, but tell me about your first time and what was going through your head, kind of the material you were working on, and the whole bit.
My first time, I'm a big date guy. October 13th, 2004. It'll be 8 years very soon. At the Laugh House in 2nd and South.
Okay.
The open mic was a Wednesday, and I, the funny thing is, it went well. My first set went well. I got laughs. I had fun, and I was very, very surprised with the decent reaction that I got. However, if I listen to that set now, which I do have recorded, it is so bad. It is so terrible. Every punchline is just, oh God, it's brutal. But I mean, it worked that night, right. And I kept going back, so.
Well, I feel that way about interviews that I've watched from 2 months ago, so I can't imagine, 2004.
Yeah, I bombed last week pretty bad, so the shit never goes away, so it doesn't.
Do you still, does it get any more comfortable as the years go on, or do you still get that anxiety that you got when you first started?
No, it's pretty comfortable. The funny thing is, I bombed a lot, and so is every comedian. But you just learn how to deal with it, you learn how to get out of it, you switch around your set list, and then a big part of it is getting comfortable with silence. It doesn't even need to be a laugh. If you're telling a story, there's silence in the setup, and you need to get comfortable with that. But once you've bombed a handful of times under various situations, you learn how to try to get out of it, make it a little better, or you just don't care. You're like, well, you know what? Tonight wasn't my night. It happens. I've seen headliners bomb, and it's kind of rewarding in a way, because no matter how good you get, no matter how big you are, or how long you've been doing it, shit's not always going to go your way.
Sure.
There's going to be that crowd. It's just not your night.
Now, you do a lot of the emceeing at Helium. I guess when there's a headliner coming in, you know, you
Mm-hmm.
kind of know what crowd to expect based on the headliner. Is there ever a time where you're like, oh my God, you know, it's this type of crowd, it's not going to work, or, you know, maybe you're opening for Bill Burr or somebody that's more your type of humor? Do you get that sense of the crowd, or is it just, you know, you're just emceeing and it's how it goes every time?
So, I mean, sometimes I've went for Stanhope a handful of times, and that's always a crapshoot because his fans, they're awesome. I mean, luckily I did well all three or four times. I can't remember, but I mean, you know, I was called a faggot 3 seconds into being on stage. So that's just the type of thing you deal with. But no, I want to try to make my act universal. I mean, obviously you're not going to appeal to everybody. Whether I'm doing like an older crowd, a younger crowd, a mixed racially crowd, I want to try to get my stuff to be something enjoyable for everybody. Like that is one of my goals in comedy. So I try not to do it that way anymore. It's like, hey, I'm in this situation. I have to make them laugh somehow. I may have to change a few words, but we're going to try to make this happen.
Right.
That's part of the fun. I mean, that's, you know, different crowds call for different things, so you won't know until you get on.
Now, I imagine when you go to social gatherings, weddings, parties, you know, the subject comes up that you're a comedian. And I imagine that there's a lot of annoying people that are like, oh, you're a comedian? Tell me a joke. How do you deal with that situation?
It's all over the place. It is true. That is the most annoying thing, and I do not tell people. I mean, I keep that suppressed as much as I possibly can. But I'm usually pretty upfront. If people say something funny or tell me a joke, I'm like, well, you know, come out to a show one night. Like, I'm not gonna do my act here at the bar at Maggie ONeills after we just did carb bombs. Like, I'm gonna, you know, come to a show. And I usually tell people, I'll be, you know, here. I'll usually try to have a date ready so I can give them the option. But I mean, some people are persistent, and it's like, just stop. Like. It's such a hacky thing to say, like, oh, you're a comedian, tell me a joke. Oh, you're a proctologist, you know, whatever. But it's the truth. People are like relentless when they hear you're a stand-up.
It's the same way with bands too. I mean, you know, I get in a conversation with a 55-year-old woman. Oh, you're in a band. You play music. What's the name of your band? And then you tell them the name. Oh, I've never heard of you. And it's like, of course you never heard of me. You're 55. You know, you don't listen to that type of music. It's the same thing. I mean,
oh, absolutely. I love advice. The best advice I ever got was from an old boss who told me to just email Jay Leno. Just send Jay an email. Like it's jay@tonightshow.com. And it's just like, just let it be. Let it be.
Right. Now, on your Facebook page, do you know what's the URL of your Facebook?
Sorry, what was that?
How do people get to your Facebook?
Oh, but just Pat House is a search. I think it's like facebook.com/pat.house.7 or something ridiculous.
All right. So,
but a Pat House search and this goofy face will bring it right up.
All right. Now, you have one of the best photo albums on the internet, and I am not exaggerating one bit. I mean, you've got 100 or so pictures of just great comedians that have come through the area. We're talking Louis C.K., Bill Burr, Chris Rock. Can you tell me, you know, out of all these great comedians, like who's maybe one guy that sticks out that was just a great guy to like maybe have a beer with after the show?
You know, it's so funny. I actually have been asked this several times, and it's so hard to give an honest answer because a lot of comedians are so nice. I mean, I've only run into 2 or 3 people that I didn't care for as a person, but I mean, Ted Alexandro's super nice. Dave Attell's been very nice to me. Christian Finnegan, Bill Burr's a great guy. Louis was very nice. I met him 3 or 4 times. Chris Rock was more than happy to get a picture. I find that most comedians are really good people, and when they find out you're a comic, you know, you can level with them because even though they're famous and I'm not, we still have that connection. Like, they know what it's like to be me. So, but it really is hard to single one out because most comedians are really fucking cool people in like every way.
Right. Now you do
same boat.
You do a lot of posts about music and such. You're a big music fan.
Yes, yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah.
And I think we kind of enjoy the same genre, Green Day, that kind of thing. What do you think the best year of music was, if you had to pick?
You know what? I was thinking about this. I'm gonna give you 1998
Okay.
because 98 was the year I went to the Y100 festival. I cut school to go to Camden, and it was Fuel, Marcy Playground, Fastball, Everclear, Cherry Poppin' Daddies, Mighty Mighty Boss Tones, Ben Folds 5, and Green Day. And that right there was awesome. At the same time, Foo Fighters had the color and the shape. There was just all the music I love now was so prevalent at that time that's still all my jam.
That's a great answer. I forgot all of it. I think I went to the Y100 festival in like 2003 or whenever Jimmy Eat World was popular. I remember
I was there. That was fantastic. That was System of a Down and Incubus too.
Yeah, System of a Down.
Goldfinger to the side stage.
Did Incubus play that? I
Incubus went on right before System of a Down. Yeah.
Okay.
And Goldfinger did the side stage right after Phantom Planet. I was there.
I definitely remember that. Yeah, that was
I was
great.
there.
So, 1998. That's a good one. That's usually not one that's talked about, but the whole late 90s were great. I mean,
the best, man. I'm still like that era to me is like my dad's like late 60s, early 70s Beatles, Zeppelin phase.
I'm still undecided between 94 and 99. Those are my 2 years. 94 is just when everything came out, like Smashing Pumpkins, Stone Temple Pilots, Green Day, all that music that kind of shaped what I am now. But then 99 is where I have all the memories, like the Blink-182, and even like Britney Spears and Christina Aguilera when they first came out. I can't say I was like buying the albums, but just the videos on MTV and seeing them all the time. I mean, just a great year.
Yeah, 94 was great too. I remember Christmas 1994 in my stocking. I got Dookie, The Offspring Smash, and Weezer's The Blue Album all in my stocking.
Oh my God, that's like the trifecta right there.
And that's what pretty much kicked it all off for me. Like I was 10 years old, and it was like, well, that carried me to where I am now.
Now, did you get Pinkerton?
I did. You know what? I'm much more of a Blue Album fan. Like, I have Pinkerton. I like the Green Album, too. But Blue Album, for me, I know there's a very big, heated discussion over Weezer fans. But I will say Blue Album, definitely.
Yeah, you really can't compare Blue to Pinkerton. I mean, it's just too...
I agree.
But Pinkerton, I remember when it came out, and I just didn't get it. It came out, I think, in 96.
Yes, I agree with you. It took a while to grow on me, but it's still underplayed in terms of right. I don't go to it that often.
Right, and I think it was the Green Album that actually triggered me to go back and check it out. And when when I listen, I mean, every single song on that album is brilliant, and the subject matter he was writing about, real personal and dark, and they just did a lot of creative things that they don't do in albums today. The Red Album, and I think a lot of it had to do with Pat Sharp, who was the original bass player who left before the Green Album. I mean, all that weird like robotic stuff. I don't know if you heard of. Was it the? It starts with an R. It's not the Replacements. It's the Rentals.
Oh yeah. I'm not too familiar, but I've heard the name many times.
Yeah, but if you listen to the Rentals, you can totally see the Blue Album and Pinkerton. Where all that influence came through. So, what's your favorite old school Nintendo game?
I'm going to go with Mario 3.
That's a great one.
I was a huge fan, and I played that relentlessly just for, days at a time, getting 100 lives, getting all the coins. Mario 3 was definitely... and then, you in a pinch, if you had to rush, you always get the whistle. You could go to the next land.
Yeah, Mario 3, I remember there was a movie called The Wizard with Fred Savage.
Absolutely.
Just beautiful marketing for that game, just got all the Nintendo kids all excited, and it finally came out. And I think that was the only game, because I wasn't the best video game player in my neighborhood. Everybody kind of beat games before me, but I think Super Mario 3 was the first game I beat on my own.
Yes. Yeah, you had to let Koopa kill himself, right? With the bricks?
Yes.
Or was that Mario 1?
No, you're exactly right. He would jump up and he'd go. But now, is it considered cheating if I had one of those guides with the cards that turn over and you do the match to get the flowers and the mushrooms? So I definitely had a guide.
No, I remember my cousin having one of those, thinking it was bullshit, but I let him fly.
Yeah, I mean, you still got to beat the boards, but
yeah,
it helps if you have the leaf there. So, who do you think makes the best brand of potato chip? We just jump subject matters here. If you
potato chips. Noticed. You know what? I'm gonna go with Ruffles. I mean, they're salty and they're delicious.
Can't go wrong with Ruffles. I mean,
done.
The reason I am asking that question is because I ate Pringles, and I'm just like, you know what? Like, no other potato chip is anything like Pringles.
No.
Once you pop, can't stop. I mean, that's the slogan. But they don't get your hands oily, and you could just eat a whole carton of Pringles. I mean, I'm not saying Ruffles aren't where it's at either, but Pringles, I don't know. I have a soft spot in my heart for Pringles.
Yeah, understandable. I mean, all chips are addicting. I think I would probably say I have chips every day. So it's just a matter of whatever's close. I had baked Lay's today, also fantastic.
So, we're both kind of 90s guys. Can you think of maybe like a hairstyle or a clothing style? What was your favorite, either for yourself or maybe like how females dressed back then?
You know what, for a while, I never dressed this way. I dress the same way I do now as I did when I was like 9. I just wear jeans and a t-shirt.
Right.
That's for changing. But I dug the grunge look. I dug the Kurt Cobain, like corduroy, possibly ripped with like some flannel and like just a dirty gray t-shirt beneath. Like I dug that look. I had older friends in my neighborhood that dressed that way, and I remember people at school and whatnot, and that early 90s grunge, hey, we're a roadie for Pearl Jam look. I definitely dug that.
Yeah, I think I was kind of a poser, but I in 9th grade, every day I dressed in a flannel shirt, and then I just got way in the punk rock, and then all of a sudden flannel shirts were out for me. But yeah, I'm with you on the flannel shirts. Now, Pat, we do something on JoeyRitter.com called the Book of Questions.
All right.
I used to end with this, but the last interview I did, the question was so dark and sad that I don't want to. If you pick a number.
Was this the one with Darren?
Yeah, the one with Darren. It was
That's awesome.
Like if you killed your dog on the side of the road, how would you deal with that? So we're gonna go with the Book of Questions right now. I need you to pick a number between 1 and 200.
Has anybody done 27 yet?
I believe someone has done 27, but. Let me see. Okay, no. Here we go. If God appeared to you... Oh, wait, no, this one was asked. Yeah, this one was asked. But you know what? We'll give it to you. I'm sure you'll have a different answer. This was the second interview I did. That's why it's been a while. If God appeared to you in a series of vivid and moving dreams and told you to leave everything behind, travel alone to the Red Sea and become a fisherman, what would you do? What if you were told to sacrifice your child? Vivid dream, you see God. Is that going to do it for you?
All right, let me just clarify. So God appears to me in a vivid dream and asks me to kill my first child?
No. Well, I guess I don't know if sacrifice means kill. I guess just putting it up for your child up for sacrifice. Doesn't specify killing, but I guess we can say killing your child to become a fisherman.
I'd probably give him a thanks, but no thanks. Holy wow! I think your book is questionable.
I don't know what year this came out, but yeah, I think that's a pretty big no-brainer. All right. So the final segment we do here on JoeyRitter.com is a bit called "Turn It Up or Turn It Off." I'm going to name you 5 songs. You simply tell me if you turn it up or turn it off, all right?
Sounds good.
Your first song is Dr. Feelgood by Motley Crue.
We'll turn it up.
The only reason
I say that because it is a good song. However, it's just one of those things that's so overplayed. You're like, it's like Pour Some Sugar on Me. It's like deep down it's good, but you hear it so much. But you know what? Turn it up.
Yeah, that's a way good explanation and analogy to compare it to Pour Some Sugar on Me. All right, your next song is The Remedy by Jason Mraz.
I honestly will say I'm unfamiliar, but I'm not really too into him, so I'm going to say turn it off.
I think It's the remedy is the dangerous.
I do know that, and I'm still sticking with my answer. You're absolutely right. I do know that song.
All right, third song, Gloria Gaynor, I Will Survive.
Turn it off.
It's
on the overplayed list. Like, we grew up with that. It's on the heard it 1,000 times. Not bad. I'm not saying it's unlistenable, but it's all right. We get it.
All right, Smooth Criminal, Alien Ant Farm.
What was that?
Smooth Criminal by Alien Ant Farm.
Oh, turn it up. Turn it up. I thought that was a fantastic cover. I like Michael Jackson. I like Alien Ant Farm. I thought they did a great job making it their own, and that was turned up.
All right, I agree with that. And your last one is Good Vibrations by Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch.
You know what? Turn that up. I haven't heard that in a long time. That deserves a good volume crank.
All right, I'm glad you're big enough to admit that.
Oh, absolutely.
So
I was waiting for a Call Me Maybe or something in there. So
I already asked that one before.
And what was the answer on that one?
The answer, it was similar to what you were saying. You know, it was overplayed. It's not a bad song, but you know, it's like, all right, we get it already.
Yeah, that one is so catchy. You can't not enjoy it a little bit.
Right.
You know? Yeah.
Summer 2012. All right, so Friday, October 12th, comedy night at Maggie ONeills, Drexel Hill. So easy to get to from all places, the city, the suburbs. Check it out, $10, get you 4 comedians, and you're benefiting breast cancer. Pat, where do people find you online?
Online, pathousecomedy.com is under construction, but it will be back up and running. But Facebook, I take care of everything. I put all my gigs and everything on there, and I'm on Twitter at Bohemian Pat City, like the Queen song,
all right.
But with Pat. So. But yeah, Twitter, Facebook, Bohemian Pat City, Pat House. That takes care of everything until the website is up and running.
Give me a good. I'm gonna ask Bohemian Rhapsody in my next turn up, turn off segment. That's a good one.
Nice, please.
Thanks so much, Pat. I appreciate it.
Dude, thank you very much. Enjoy your night.
Success. You too.